everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's another edition of Situations and Conversations. I am your host, Renee, and buckle up, buttercups, because today's situation is about as real as it gets. We are in a tumultuous time as far as racial tensions go in this country. And at the time of this recording, the George Floyd verdict has not yet been handed in. Well, Derek Chauvin, but I choose to say his name, George Floyd. And there's so much going on, and I have received so many requests to have a conversation around how to take care of our mental health when we're constantly basically being assaulted with our eyes on TV screens and social media screens all across. So I decided to have a wonderful guest return to Situations and Conversations. I think we can call him an alumni now. I would like to welcome to the show again, Dr. Keith Dempsey, PhD, LPC, and you are also the Dean and Professor at George Fox University. Can we give it up for Dr. Keith?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming back.
Yep.
You were an inaugural guest when we were just a little old show on YouTube. And you came on to talk about mental health in communities of color. And that is a conversation that we can continue to have. And I warned you that you may be coming back.
You did.
And the truth is, we actually made this a special episode because after talking with so many people in the community, as well as our own crew here at Situations and Conversations, tensions are high, frustrations are high. And Keith, you know, I try to be light and love in the world, you know?
Right.
But there's so much darkness. And it's really exhausting being a person of color in this country.
It is.
So how do you feel? I mean, you know, I know you're a mental health professional. I mean, you're highly educated. You're a Black man.
Yep.
Tell me, what do you think about what's going on in our country right now?
Yeah. Your first question, how do you feel? It's heavy. And it has been heavy for so long. And it's a different kind of heaviness because we've always known that this thing has existed. Now, after George Floyd, the rest of the country knows. And the question is, well, what are we going to do about it?
Right.
So after George Floyd, police officers are supposed to be on their very best behavior. On their very best behavior, they're still shooting brothers and sisters in the back. So that leads us to be fearful, afraid. Right. You know, do we have hope? It's heavy, very heavy. I think you hit that nail right on the head.
Yeah, and I was talking again to the crew. We talk a lot before we start filming. And one of the crew members was like, you know, I've been waking up every day for the past couple of weeks to some sort of injustice against us. And I can imagine that a lot of people are starting to give up hope. I mean, what are you supposed to do? It's like you said, I mean, the whole world, not just our country, the whole world saw for almost 9 minutes a man on the ground having a knee to his neck and died in front of us.
Yep, in an egregious fashion.
And now we're going through this trial, which I'm just going to say it, you know, I feel like what kind of defense could you possibly even try and put up here? But, you know, they're trying. So again, at the time that we're talking, the verdict is supposed to be coming out in a week or so. But in the meantime, I am outraged. I am tired of feeling like I have to be, you know, okay. I'm not okay, Keith. I think a lot of us are out here really not okay, just trying to get by day to day.
Absolutely. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. And the reason why we're upset is because, like you said, how can they have a defense? But we know that history has shown us that this dude could get off.
I know.
And that is unbelievable to be in this country and to see something like that. And I was talking to one of the brothers a little earlier. When we see George Floyd, we see us.
Yeah.
We see us. Yeah. So you mean to tell me that you can treat me like that and get away with it in 2021? That is ridiculous.
And you know what's even crazier is when you see images, and I'm not saying that police should be killing everybody, but it's so disproportionate, the treatment that Black men and women, primarily men, I'm gonna keep it 100. I worry about my brother, my Black brother driving around. I worry about my Black brothers and sisters just minding their own business. I mean, just the other day, here we go, out there in South Carolina, a young brother's walking in the neighborhood and a white sergeant in the Army comes out and basically tells him, you don't belong here, you need to get out of here, and goes to the point of shoving this brother on camera, like as if so you're in the right. Like you filmed this, thinking that you were doing the right thing, and now you've been arrested, you had to move out of your house because the community's not having it anymore. They went and bum rushed that house in South Carolina, and they've been protesting there for days, and I totally understand. It's enough.
Yeah, it is enough. It is enough. This is what I worry about. Folks are outraged now, as we all should be and should have been. But this is connected to COVID-19. When you think about it, COVID-19 had everybody in the home. Mm-hmm. COVID-19 had everybody upset, frustrated. COVID-19 had people who had never been unemployed before unemployed. Mm-hmm. So COVID-19 made people who never thought there's some injustice in this world realize that there was some injustice.
Press release marketing is the solution for small business owners wearing way too many hats. This could be overwhelming for any CEO. We suggest you talk to a professional today about outsourcing your marketing campaigns and strategies. To book a complimentary consult, visit www.justpressrelease.com today.
I had to reach out because I felt like this is probably a situation that many people have experienced, but you put it out there. And so, in the interest of time, tell us what happened on that day. What was this, back in February?
Yeah, it was back in February. So my wife and I, so my wife's from Covington, Louisiana, and I'm born and raised in Los Angeles. So it's like two opposite sides of the world. I didn't realize, because I didn't travel to the South that much, and I didn't realize that there is a large gap in, I guess it's just not knowing. I call it like ignorance, but like racism via ignorance. Like there's a lot of things that people say and talk, how they talk down there, that's just a norm, mm-hmm. And
welcome back to Situations and Conversations. We are having a very deep conversation about racial tension in America, especially as it pertains to conversations between now two Black men. We don't often see Black men talking to each other about feelings, but that's going to happen right now. So I'd like to welcome to the show Bobby Bridges of Triple Echo Studios, my production partner, as well as back is Dr. Keith Dempsey. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Good to meet you, Bobby.
You as well, sir.
Yes, indeed.
Let me say this first. I think I've been in therapy like once in my adult life. And at that point it was like, okay, thank you for the 3 free sessions. I got the answer, and I walked out. So feel free to guide me. Through some of this.
And let me say this, bro. This isn't therapy. This is just Black men having conversations, like a barbershop. Well, we probably haven't been in a barbershop in a long time, me and you, but this is a barbershop conversation, though. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Then let me start by saying, for the last, I went to the gym, and I intentionally did not watch the murder of George Floyd because I didn't know what that was going to do to me. I spent some time reflecting on myself, so I kind of knew my limits, right? And I'm like, I don't know what this change is going to bring. And so I went to the gym, and there they were showing the video, and it was one of those things where I didn't want to see it, but I felt like I didn't. I feel like it's an injustice for me not to watch it for some reason. Yep. And like, in the middle of, before I even got to actually work out, I just broke down crying. Like it was, and I was done, and the gym is my place to go to get all that stuff off. Right. And I couldn't even show up, I couldn't show up there. Yeah. So ever since then, I have been literally exhausted. Like, I mean, falling asleep at like 8. every night. And I'm a hard worker, and I know that these last few days I haven't been working that hard. And so I don't know what that's about. And that's one of the things I wanted to just to talk and ask about, like, what is that?
Yeah. Yep. So I want to go back to what you said about George Floyd. So I have a teenager, and I didn't want him to see that. And I wanted to make sure that I was with him when he saw that. And I don't know what I was thinking. He has a cell phone. I mean, so he saw it before I saw it. So, it's this thing about, how much can we handle? How much can our kids handle? Sometimes I don't even want to watch that stuff, but it's incumbent upon me. I feel a responsibility, like you say, to know what's going on. Your question, and I'm going to just talk about it from my perspective. Man, when things get heavy like that, for me, or, when I'm tired and I've been working a whole lot, when I'm getting up late and I haven't stayed up late, there's something going on in my world that's just tugging at me that I just can't figure out. And I think I alluded to it a little earlier with Trey Renee. Man, it's just racism. It's the fact that there's nothing that we can do, it's seemingly, that can change this. I had a conversation with somebody about cops, and they were like the bad apples and bad cops and so on and so forth. And I was just like, that's not even my conversation. My conversation is about the broken systems that people allow to be broken so that brothers and sisters continue to be killed. That's what my conversation is about. So it's heavy. It's just heavy. And a little earlier, somebody was kind of joking about, Black people don't go to therapy. And therapy is not for everybody, but we need to be talking about it. We just do. And for so long, I think we've come to the point that, we're just going to keep on keeping on because we have to. Yet and still, this is just too heavy to carry by ourselves. It's to the point that when you ask people, like earlier, I said, man, how you doing, bro? And usually the response is, I'm doing good. You said, dog. You gave me an honest response, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've just never seen brothers and sisters hurt like they're hurting right now, not able to function at work, so on and so forth. So, I think we're in a new place.
I found myself going through these a cycle of different emotions, sadness, hurt, and then anger. Like the first thing I thought was like 80% of white people are racist. And I don't even know where that came from, right? But I think it's the fact to see that someone had the audacity to put their knee on somebody's neck. I don't care the color of skin, right? Sure. If you can do that to a human being, there is something wrong. Yeah. There's something wrong. Right. And the fact that we actually have to go to a trial, right? There was something wrong. I don't even know when I saw this, whatever belief I had of safety shattered. I'm not safe in my own home. Yeah. I'm not safe at the grocery store. Yeah. I'm not safe if I'm in the bathroom. Yeah. Like, no matter where I'm at. Right. I don't know how to be now, like I don't know how to be, like if I'm questioning that, like it puts me in this state of like, so then I have to get physical, like, because I don't know how else am I supposed to protect myself. Right. If I'm doing everything right. Look, I wasn't supposed to make it when I wasn't supposed to make it to the age of 18. All right, this is what they told my generation. This is what they told me when I grew up from, right? The Piedmonts. If anybody knew the Piedmonts were back in the day, that was like the Portland hood. The Piedmonts, you're the villa, North Portland. But like I wasn't supposed to make it. I did everything that I was supposed to do to get out, and everything right. Yeah. Everything right. Yep. And you telling me that it doesn't matter? Yeah. I got my master's degree.
Come on.
I thought I was going to be, the whole statistic, that by the age of 33, a third of the black men would be either arrested, handcuffed, or on probation, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm almost there.
Yeah.
Sure enough, I was in cuffs before I even hit it. I've done nothing.
Yeah.
I've done nothing. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Right.
It led me to believe that no one is exempt if your skin is this color.
That's right.
And that in combination, then you try to rationalize it, and I'm out of rationalization. Like I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say
Right.
to make it, to make it like okay, like oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Keep going another day. Like it's. So you about to make me have me cry up. It's one of those things. I don't even. I got a son, and I'm thinking to myself like, I don't want you to go outside.
Right.
And it's hard because he's taller than me.
Yeah.
He's taller than me. Almost weigh the same. He's 175 pounds. He's like 6'1",
That's right.
and got dreads. And I'm like, you are a target. You are a target.
Yeah.
Like the way you look, say black. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where I don't even know. Like I don't want you on the max. I don't want you on the bus. I drive wherever. He doesn't have to worry about ever catching the bus because I can't physically see myself allowing him to do something outside the house.
Right. Yeah.
What is that in this country? What is that?
Yeah. So, living in fear, same kind of thing with my sons. And that's just the trauma that we're living with right now. And it's a trauma that I don't think people understand. And when you talk about, are people racist? Maybe, maybe not. However, some people have a privilege that they don't have to worry about the things that you and I worry about. Physically, do we go here? What's going on with my son? That was one of the first things that I was thinking. Well, the first thing was, let me get home to Emmanuel. And the second thing, my son, who was 10 years older than Emmanuel, where is Terrell? It's the first thing that came to my mind. So yeah. So that's the kind of trauma that people just don't understand because they don't have to live with, but we do every single day.
Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee is sponsored by Black Parent Initiative, learning and growing together so families can thrive. Education Explorers. Parents, with companies starting to bring people back into the office and workspace, count on Education Explorers for safe, quality, reliable, and culturally sound childcare. They have low to no cost spaces available for infants and children up to 4 years old at their 2 locations in Tigard. Contact them online at educationexplorershcc.com or give them a call at 971-266-3646. Furniture and decor provided by Home Place Furniture and Design. Get all your furniture and design needs at Home Place Furniture and Design with 2 locations in Oregon to serve you. Wardrobe for Trey Renee, that's me, provided by Janelle James Boutique, located at Bridgeport Village in Tigard. Styling services were provided by Don Cannon. Whew, okay, we are back with Situations and Conversations. We are talking about mental health around all of the racial injustice that's going on in our country. Dr. Keith Dempsey is still hanging out with me. I'm so appreciative. You haven't ditched me yet. No, thank you, because I know this has been pretty heavy, but it's necessary. It's necessary. And this season we want to amplify young voices. And so we have some questions from some of our young people.
All right, sounds good.
All right, so let's get our first question.
Hey, Trey, a student wrote this. How do I address racist acts from other students or teachers when it feels like just being black makes me less believable?
How do you address racist acts from other people? Yeah. Trey, as I think about that question, I think about going inside. All right, to be able to know who you are, because what happens is when you have everybody around you who's saying something different, you have to have a network around you that will tell you something else. And if you know who you are, and if you have a network that's telling you something different, then you have the strength to be able to combat some of that stuff. So I always say, you've got to look within. You've got to find your people. You've got to find your team. You've got to find your tribe so you can know like you know who you are and have that beautiful self-esteem.
Yeah, and our young people are having a hard time with this because a lot of kids of color are pretty much, isolated in a predominantly white school system out here. And I know my own kids have told me more times than I care to remember about microaggressions that are taking place every day in our schools. And my oldest is a little nervous to address it because then she comes off as the angry black girl. You understand? You know, or the angry black man. And it's so hard to combat all of this when you're just trying to do right.
When you're trying to do right. And, you know, and I would probably flip that on its head. And as parents, as aunties, as uncles, grandmothers, grandfathers, we have a responsibility to be talking to our kids about what's going on in those places and those spaces because they're trying to figure it out by themselves.
It's true.
And that shouldn't be the case.
No, because we're not alone. We're not alone. If nothing else, you all got us. You got us, if nothing else. All right, we have another youth question.
Hey, Trey, another student messaged us this question. Why, when you try to correct someone's racist behaviors, they get angry or start crying?
Is that those white tears? Everybody talks about those white tears. I don't know if you are you all familiar with the white tears? If you're not, this is a situation where sometimes, you know, you may correct someone on their racist behavior or their microaggression, and all of a sudden it's, oh, and the white tears come. That's what that is.
Right.
Yeah.
So white guilt. Just, you know, so folks are so steeped in their privilege that they don't want to believe that what they're doing is off base.
Right.
It just is. If somebody does something, says something in an ignorant fashion, and we have a conversation and they say, man, tell me about that. I don't understand it, but I want to hear it from your perspective because I will never understand what it is to be a black man and walk in your shoes. Okay, we can rock.
Right.
But if you come back with a defensive fashion and say, what do you mean? I'm not a racist and you can ask anybody, so on and so forth, and you don't want to hear about what you did that offended me, that's problematic. And that person needs to do some work. And what happens is we always take the onus.
I know. But is that what we were taught historically? I know you're an expert on historical racial trauma. Right. Is that something that we've always taken on, like, you know, it's us?
Well, I mean, think about it, Trey. In our workplaces, when we hear microaggressions, we got to make a choice. Do I call this out or do I just roll with it?
Right.
For the same reason that the baby asked the question. Because if I call it out, I know that this can mean some repercussions.
Yes.
I know it can. So maybe I should just get along. Right. So we are taught that. And even if we don't tell our babies that, they see it modeled. It's part of the survival.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's so deep. Like, it's people just don't understand how ingrained and how deep it goes. That's
Absolutely.
why this is the fabric of America.
Yep.
So unless we get ready to start unraveling and taking, you know, piece by piece, every thread out to replace it with something good and positive for all people, I don't see a way out of this. I don't.
Right.
I don't. I'm just trying to do my best to make sure I don't have air freshener hanging from my car, that my tags can be seen on my brand new car.
That you're not bird watching or
that
jogging.
I'm not doing anything. I can't play video games in my own house. Yeah. Or I can't sleep either, Breonna Taylor. Right. I mean, this is what I'm saying. It's dangerous for us to be black in America. Yeah. It really is. And until people start recognizing that and changing these systems that you talked about, breaking down these broken systems, then we're not going to see much change. Right.
Exactly. Yep. So it goes beyond a march. It goes beyond, you know, folks putting up Black Lives Matter signs. For some really mean that. For some, it's wallpaper.
Right.
You know, so it goes beyond that. You know, we need to go to the point where we're really looking at some legislation, changing things, changing these systems, and meaning that, you know, I've never seen so many black people on commercials before. I'm like, man, am I in Atlanta? What's happening out here?
What's happening? Right. Is it the cool thing right now?
Right. But is that the Band-Aid?
Well, you know it is. Because if there's nothing else behind that, that's all fine and great. But what is actually happening at the root? Where are we, what is going on with the legislation, with the police departments? With all of it, it all has to change. And then within us, what are we going to do? I mean, we can sit here and talk about this is a great start. This is great. We can have these conversations. I'm trying to do what I do, what I know how to do, right? But there are a lot of people who are knowing more. You know, they can do more. Well, let's do it. Let's band together. And here's a real quick question before I let you go, just your opinion. Some people feel like, you know, they get upset when you hear someone say, well, we need people, white people, to get behind the movement in order to really affect change. And then you have some people on the other side who say, well, we don't need white people. We just need to band together. I hear that, but my personal opinion is we do need people in positions, in privileged society, right, in their world, to go on ahead and get on board with this and make some changes that I think only they can make, because they're at that table.
Sure. And I think it's all about the spirit in which it's said.
Okay.
Because if we say it in a spirit of white saviorism, miss me with that all of the way.
Agree.
But if we say that as a way that, you know, here we are, you know, we're all people and we should be, you know, fighting for the same thing. And, you know, the folks who don't have to worry, like my brother who was here talking about, you know, how he's worried about leaving places or going to the gym or the folks who don't have to worry about that, they need to be just as mad.
Agree.
As he is.
Agree.
And not put up the Black Lives Matters sign as wallpaper.
Got you.
Because they mean it. And to know that there's something behind those signs.
Love it.
Yep.
That's it. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
Dr. Keith Dempsey, everybody. I tell you, I love you. I love you. I love you. I appreciate you so much.
Appreciate you too, Trey.
And you know I'm going to call on you anytime. You
know
left that
you
door
do.
open and I kicked it
You did.
all the way.
You did. You did.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, my sister.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
indeed.
Whew, I told you, I hope you were buckled up because that was a wild ride and it continues. I really encourage you all to continue having these conversations. Please do. And if you have a situation that you want to have a conversation about, let us know. Hit us up on social media, Situations and Conversations on YouTube at the Real Trey Renee channel. We're here for you. This is what we do. All right, well, take excellent care of yourselves and each other. And when you think me, think we. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee is sponsored by Black Parent Initiative, growing at the speed of relationships. Education Explorers, culturally sound, quality childcare you can count on. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.